All right. So we're going to get started. Thank you guys for being here, especially since I don't know, it's like the coldest winter so far. Yeah. So my name is Megan Williams. It is a pleasure to be here today. I'm not going to introduce this. I'm going to throw this over to Maureen, who is our CUNY dean. She is online, so she's going to have an audio presentation to just give us an idea of where CUNY is in all of this between the three colleges that we have here, BMCC, LaGuardia, and also Kingsborough. And she is the CUNY dean um, for health, education, nursing. She'll explain it. And then we're going to have a quick presentation from each one of the colleges, and we'll go from there. So, Maureen.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I just want to say that my name is Maureen Becker, and I am the University Dean of Health and Human Services. Um, and that basically, we're very excited. I want to welcome you tonight, and we're excited that so many of you are here because we have great information for you to share with you. And the things that we're going to say tonight, the information is for many of you, most of you is going to have a positive effect on your life. So at CUNY, we have several programs, and for tonight, we're going to be looking at primarily our paramedic program. But when each person talks from the different community centers that we have here tonight, you're going to hear about other programs that are different pathways. So I think that you're going to have a lot of information, and there's going to be a question and answer time. Take notes, but then definitely we'll be connecting you to how to get in touch with us so that we can help answer any future questions that you have. I would like to say that to hurry and get this program started, I would like to introduce a colleague of mine. Her name is Sari Allison, and she is the admissions specialist at the Borough of Manhattan College in the paramedic program. So, Sari, you're next.
Uh, Thank you, Maureen. So I am not Sari. I'm just interjecting really quick because in EMS we throw audibles all the time. So I'm Joseph Ranieri. I'm the executive director of the Regional EMS Council of New York City. Um, those of you that are not yet paramedics, you may not know us too well, but we do. We are the body that implements the medical care protocols that you follow day to day, and we work with our EMS core sponsors and our EMS services to help support EMS and make sure that our patients here in the city are serviced by the best trained and equipped EMS providers in the country. So that's our mission. We're happy to be helping support this program for CUNY Reconnect. We think it's going to be transformative in healthcare and particularly in EMS as we usher in the next wave of healthcare providers, our EMTs, and for those of you that are already EMTs, right, getting you elevated to the paramedic level and providing advanced care. Just a couple quick things for our members that are in the joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us remotely. If you do have questions, I would ask if you could please put them in the Q&A tool. That'll make it a little bit easier for us to answer those questions and track them. And it'll also make it so the other folks that are on the Zoom can see them as well. If you try to throw it in the chat, the only people that will be able to see those questions will be the panelists and us as your hosts. So that'll just help, try to eliminate some duplicate questions and make it so as we answer questions, everybody can get the benefit of them. So a little bit later on, I'll be coming back up to speak about a regional council program that's to help support this. But at the moment, I will get us back on schedule and hand it off to Sari.
Good evening. Thank you so much to Maureen and Joe. My name is Sari Allison. I am an admissions specialist at the Borough of Manhattan Community College paramedic program. Today, I will be talking, however, about the CUNY Reconnect program, which is a brand new program that just came about in the fall 2025 semester. that is offering free college to many, many adult learners in New York. So thank you to everyone that came down here in this weather. I really appreciate it. To everyone that logged on via Zoom. I'm very excited to share this information with you. Once I'm done, I am going to be taking questions. You can also, as Joe mentioned, put them in the chat. And then once I'm done, you'll be hearing from the 3 different paramedic programs here, which are all CUNY colleges. So these programs are eligible for this CUNY Reconnect program. So CUNY Reconnect is a new program that was passed by the New York State Legislature. This program covers not just the cost of tuition, it also covers supplies, books, fees, everything that's involved in your education. And you do have to meet certain eligibility requirements, which we're going to go over to qualify for this program. I do want to preface by saying that if you do not qualify for this program, there are still many opportunities available for financial assistance. So I would urge you to look into the financial aid department at the college that you're interested in. But today we're specifically going to be talking about the CUNY Reconnect program. All right. So the CUNY Reconnect program provides free associate degrees. This is not for bachelor's degrees or any master's degrees. It's only for associate degrees. You do have to be between the ages of 25 and 55. So if you go into college, let's say you're 24 years old, as long as by January 1st, you're 25 years old, you will qualify for the program. If you are about to turn 56, that's okay, as long as you're 55 at the time that you enroll. You cannot have any prior post-secondary degrees. So post-secondary is anything beyond high school. You cannot have a degree to qualify for this program. You do have to be a New York State resident or eligible for in-state tuition. And this is an important one. You have to be matriculated in an approved associate degree program. So not every program in CUNY is approved for CUNY Reconnect. We are going to go over the programs that are eligible, and paramedic is one of them. You have to be, this is important as well, you have to be enrolled in at least 6 credits per semester. The semesters that count towards CUNY Reconnect are the spring and the fall semesters. So no classes covered in summer or winter, but fall you have to be enrolled, spring you have to be enrolled in 6 credits, fall another 6 credits, total 12 credits. If you decide, hey, I want to enroll in the spring in 12 credits, can I just take the fall off? The answer is no. You do have to have semester by semester enrolled in at least 6 credits. This one is also very important that you have to do. In order to qualify, you do have to apply for FAFSA and the state tuition, which is TAP. You do have to apply for both. And make sure when you apply that you apply to the correct year. If you're coming in for spring 2026, you have to apply for the 2025-2026, not the 26-27. So make sure that you have the right one. If you're not sure, you can always contact the admissions department at your college of choice. And even if you're not eligible for FAFSA or TAP, doesn't matter. You still have to apply because the way that CUNY Reconnect works is that this covers everything what that FAFSA does not, or that TAP does not. So these scholarships are applied first, and whatever's not covered is then covered by CUNY Reconnect. So if you don't apply, you're not going to be eligible. So make sure you apply whether you qualify or not. This is something that you have to do. So now, how do you apply for this CUNY Reconnect program? There isn't a, there's not really an application for it. Admissions at the college will flag you if you are within the age range. They see that you don't have a degree. Then they further check, hey, did this student, sign up for 6 credits this semester minimum, right? Then they check, did this student apply for FAFSA and TAP? Or the DREAM Act for the students that are eligible for that, you can apply for that. And if all the markers are met, and they're like you're in an approved major, then you'll be enrolled automatically. You don't have to fill out any application for CUNY Reconnect. Now you might have heard the term New York State Opportunity Promise. This is synonymous with CUNY Reconnect. There's two names for it, but it's basically the same thing. So just keep that in mind. Now, how do you know that, you did, you apply for your FAFSA TAP or your DREAM Act? How do you know that you're now enrolled? So when you're in the college, you're going to get a financial aid reward letter, and it will say the amount that you got, and then you'll know that you're in the program. So can you guys see all the small? But these are all the approved majors. Can we move the screen so we can cover it? Can I move the box out of the way? Okay. Can't read that well. Bring this up closer. Okay, so paramedic degree is an approved major, CUNY Reconnect. Now, if you're a current paramedic and you're like, hey, I'm a paramedic, can I do a paramedic degree? Yes, there are ways that you can do it, which the program directors will discuss. So if you're a paramedic without a degree, you can get your degree for free and get credit for being a paramedic. Now, for those that paramedics or otherwise that want to do a different, program, we have a lot of different opportunities that are eligible for CUNY Reconnect. So as you can see, this is the full list. If you want to take a picture of that. We have animation and motion graphics, bilingual childhood education, biotechnology, childhood education, computer information system, computer network technology, computer science, data science, digital marketing, early childhood education, engineering science, geographic information science, health information technology, math and science for secondary education, multimedia program design, nursing, paramedic, respiratory therapy, science for forensic, secondary education for social studies, and video arts and technology. So you have to be in one of these majors to qualify for CUNY Reconnect. All right, so here's a quick recap of what is your role in all of this. So like I said, there's no application, so admissions will take care of most of it, but first make sure you qualify, you're in the correct age range, 25 to 55, you don't have a prior degree, make sure you're in an approved program, you apply for FAFSA and TAP or the DREAM Act, you're eligible for that, and that you apply for at least 6 credits every semester, and 12 in the academic year. So I did put up some frequently asked questions about this program, and I'm also going to open it up once we're done for any questions from you guys. We are monitoring the chat, so feel free to drop questions in there. For those that are here in person, just raise your hand if you have any questions. I'm going to get to them in just a minute. So a common question is, if I'm already a student, do I qualify? Is it only for new students? You do qualify. However, there's no retroactive payments. So if you paid for your previous semester and it wasn't covered, you're not going to get that money back. But you do qualify whether you're already enrolled or whether you plan to enroll. What if, and this is common for paramedics, right? What if you have a certification but you don't have a degree? So that's completely fine. Whether you have a certification, whether you have college credits, let's say you have a lot of credits, but you don't have a degree, you still qualify. As long as you don't have any degree, you do qualify, given that you meet all the other markers. The 56, we covered that one. If you're turning 56, make sure you just enroll before you turn 56. If you don't complete the degree, you don't have to pay it back. There really aren't any strings attached like with previous scholarships. So CUNY Reconnect, there's no requirement, let's say, for you to stay a New York State resident. If you didn't end up completing it, you don't have to pay anything back. So it's really one of the scholarships that's no strings attached, and it covers a lot of students that previously did not qualify for other financial aid, which is like an amazing thing. If you fail a class, they will cover if you repeat the class, given that it is required by your program. If you need, let's say, remedial classes before you go into a program, it's not covered. But let's say you're in an approved program and they're like, we do need you to take this and this to get up to par, you're matriculated in that program, it will cover that. But one thing to keep in mind is if you fail a class, you have to repeat it. Make sure that you stay within good academic standing. That's very important. So that means that you meet the minimum GPA at that college. So at BMCC, our GPA minimum is 2.0. If you're in the paramedic program at BMCC, 2.5. So, you know, you have to look at the college basic minimum GPA, and as long as you stay within good academic standing, it will cover the class. And yeah, it's the same which we just covered. If you need other required courses, so this is a big one. So a lot of you know, the health majors, a lot of students will just take random classes. They won't be matriculated in a major. That's not covered. You have to be matriculated in the major. If you are in an approved major and they say, hey, you're a student in this major, you have to take this class because it's required in the major, then it will be covered. This is also a common one. If you have a degree from another country, I will say, you know, if you submit that to, if you're not sure, submit that to admissions and they will tell you if your degree qualifies as an equivalent to a U.S. post-secondary degree. If it does, you don't qualify. This is only for students that don't have a degree. Now, you do have to finish your degree within 10 terms. 10 terms means every semester that's spring and fall counts as a term. So the summer and the winter semester don't count. So you count 10 terms, counting only spring and fall. And within those 10 terms, you do have to complete a degree. Now, obviously, that's a lot more than 2 years. The reason that they do that is to give students an opportunity if they have to fail the class, you know, if they have to retake it. So they have some time to do it. Also, if you're doing it part-time, 6 credits is part-time, right? So you have a little bit more time. Now, what if you want to switch? Like, hey, I want to switch to a different major, or I want to switch to a different school. They will still cover if it is still a CUNY school and you're still in an approved major, they will cover it. Now, how much funding will you receive? Again, you have to apply for FAFSA, for TAP. Let's say they don't give you any money, then Reconnect will cover everything, right? If they do give you some, whatever's not covered, you will get it. Whatever's not covered, you'll get that amount from CUNY Reconnect. All right, so that concludes my presentation. I do have some questions that were submitted in the registration. I'll get to those. If anybody here has a question, please raise your hand, and we're also monitoring the chat. Yes. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
I don't think it puts you on camera.
What if you went to a CUNY school and dropped out and you still hold them a balance?
So,
Okay, Megan. That's a Megan question.
that's it. Oh, fantastic question. So since there are 27 CUNY colleges, it is very possible. I actually, ironically enough, I have a hold from my LaGuardia days taking college classes. My bad. I am currently enrolled in another CUNY, so you can absolutely enroll depending upon the hold. If you owe money, they're not going to let you take classes. Doesn't matter what college it is, they're going to be like, nope, you need to pay that back first. You can reach out to them for payment plans. You can reach out for like all of that stuff. If it is a hold for advisement, which is my LaGuardia hold, you take classes, as I've been doing. So if it's a bursar's hold, you're going to have to resolve it first. Good question. That was in the chat also, so good job.
Anyone else has a question here? Feel free to come up if you do. In the meantime, we have.
Oh, we're answering. Yep.
Oh,
Absolutely.
sure. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the questions that we have from the registration. Okay, I think we answered most of them. We have a question. If I've never been enrolled in a CUNY or SUNY, can I apply? Yes, you can apply. That's the whole point. Like, it's for current and new students. This is a good question, actually. Is there an income limit? That's another major difference of CUNY Reconnect. You can have any type of income and you still qualify. So There is no income limit for this. And then we have another question. You have to be New York resident. You do have to be New York resident or eligible for in-state tuition. We have a question if CUNY Reconnect will help you get a GED. So this program is for post-secondary education. So you have to have a high school diploma to get into the college or a GED. There are programs within the college to get a GED. So I would contact your college of choice, make sure that they have one. I know at BMTC we do have that for our continuing education. We have another question. Does CUNY Reconnect help with job placement, internships, or career support? It does not. So it covers your tuition, it covers your books, your fees. It might not cover it right away. Generally, will take about 3 weeks into class. They'll get a roster from the professor. Hey, these are the students enrolled, just to ensure they actually enrolled. And then you'll see the money. So you might have to front some of the costs, let's say the books up front, you will get it back. But the college, again, each college has different departments that help with, job placement. Or BMTC, we have one. The other programs can speak to their how it works for their college, but specifically CUNY Reconnect does not do that. We have another question. Somebody finishing their bachelor's. They have some credits left. Bachelor's are not covered. This is only for associate degrees in the approved program. We have one that this individual has 66 college credits. They don't have a degree. A lot of your credits might transfer in the program that you choose. So check on that. You could definitely transfer over those credits. But if you don't have a degree, you still qualify. You can have a certification, you can have credit. As long as you don't have a degree, you can qualify for the program. And then there's another question we have on, are these eligible majors in person or online? I would say look at each individual one that was on the list. And, some of it might be online. I know paramedic some of it is online, some of it is in person. The paramedic portion is always in person. So depending on what you're interested in, make sure that you look into that. That's all the questions here. And then I'm going to turn it over to the Dr. Stephen O'Brady. You have a question? Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Go ahead.
My question is there a prerequisite that's required?
For CUNY Reconnect? No, so the prerequisites are essentially the ones listed, right, that you're within the age range, that you don't have a degree. You just have to meet all those requirements.
And
there's nothing further beyond
there
that.
are college entry tests?
So depending on which college you're going to, I can speak to BMCC. That's where I work. At BMCC, we no longer have placement exams. What we have is you will submit your high school transcript to admissions, or your GED, whatever you have. They're going to look at your scores, and then they call it milestones. They're going to see that you meet certain milestones, specifically in math and English. If you don't meet those milestones, they're going to say, hey, you have to do remedial or some classes and some remedial, right? Or, hey, you're good and you can just enter the college. That's how it works with BMC.
And is it hybrid courses, or is it just you have to come in person, or is it hybrid?
Yeah, you're right. I think those are more questions specifically to the program that you want to go into. So I would say,
okay.
yeah, once they come up and talk about their program, you can ask them. Okay, any other questions from anybody? Yes, come on.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I am passionate about the cybersecurity program, but from the list that you read, I did not hear it. But on going through the website, I saw it there.
Yeah, you see it up there. Yeah, it could be because that's from a different school. The list up here is the list from BMCC majors. Other schools might have other majors. So look at the school of choice that you want to go to. Check if you see it up there, then absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stephen O'Brady, the paramedic program director from Kingsborough Community College.
Good evening. Thank you, Siri. Excellent job with what you covered so far. making my presentation much easier, right? The information that you have today in my 10 years as an educator, this is the best, right? It doesn't get any better than this, right? Will it come around again like the 90s Bulls? Probably not, right? So take advantage of it, please. So in my program, start here, Kingsborough Community College, located in Manhattan Beach, even though we're Brooklyn. And fun fact about this college, only beach, private beach on the college, right? So summertime, if you want to take a dip, don't recommend it, but maybe fishing, but you still have that beautiful campus scenery at Kingsborough. This is me with my students at the clinical site. So one of the benefits at Kingsborough Community College is that we have full-time faculty that go with our students to the facilities, right? And before we get to the hospitals, we essentially mentor them in the classroom, building them up for their clinical experience. But it's very important to get them acclimated on what they're going to see in the field before they reach the ambulance. Because as an entry-level paramedic, your job essentially is a lifeline to the doctor, to the nurses. So you need to have that level of communication and responsibility, right? To be a leader in the field. So I take pride in going to the hospitals with them. Qualifications. You mentioned regarding entry exam. So at my program, we don't do an entrance exam, but what we do is have an interview, more of a one-on-one with you to get to know who you are, your background, the level of experience, right? Because don't feel because you're coming into this field, you need to be the EMT of 6 to 8 years, right? That's a stigma that has died, right? We want passion, driven, motivated individuals, right? Whether you're 2 years as an EMT or 2 days, and we could turn you into that paramedic you want to be. In addition to that, age requirements are there, right? And a little bit of muscle, right? Because you got to lift. We're not always going to have the luxury of falling for a backup, right? So a little bit of muscle to do the job. So why Kingsborough, right? Recently, we were lucky to get a new high fidelity mannequin. So these mannequins work as if it's a real person, and we could program it to do everything and anything, to moaning sounds, to chest pain, to birthing baby, right? To bleeding, right? So we want to make sure that in the classroom, you get the best experience before you reach the workforce. Because our job is to make sure when you leave Kingsborough, you're confident on your own as an independent paramedic. So 34 college credits for those that are paramedics, come back, and then, like Sari said, you can take the other courses. But if you're an EMT, you start from the bottom, EMS 100 through EMS 241. So looking in yellow, like I highlighted, right, that formal interview. Some of you may heard of the term effective domain, right? That's us having the ability to measure whether we feel that at the present moment, you need to build up your confidence or you come in with confidence, right? So other flags that we see, it wouldn't disqualify you, but it give us a good benchmark on what we can do to make you a better paramedic. And look at the courses, bio 11 and 12. In the programs that are here today, you're going to hear those same courses. And if you decide after a year, I don't want to be a paramedic anymore, you can do RN because you have bio 11 and 12. You could do PA. You could do physical therapy assistant, right? So it's a good foundation, whether you feel at the time it's just not for you, but just to get it done and complete it because you have the backup with the CUNY funds, I highly recommend it. So our 4-day per week class schedule. So in yellow, we have the lab on Tuesdays, and then Wednesday we have the lab. So some programs function a lab 1 day a week, but we feel that a minimum of 12 hours of clinical lab is important because essentially you're a paramedic, right? It's a skillful job. A lot of what we do is hands-on. A lot of what we do is lifting. So we take pride in making sure that we have 12 hours of skills. And then in the top left corner, we have our lectures 3 nights a week. And each night you'll cover all of the clinical components that you'll see in emergency medicine, right? From pediatric emergencies, cardiac emergencies, pulmonary emergencies. So we cover every bit of information and no stone is unturned. So clinical hospital schedule rotations. This for some can be the needle that kind of in your side, right? Only the reason why I say that is because you have to pick one of these 3 days. And this tends to be troublesome as the program moves on because you're working adults, right? So you pick one clinical day, you stick to that day. And like I said before, we're mentoring you throughout the program. So you'll be with me at a Brookdale Hospital and then with another professor at Woodhall or Wyckoff, right? And we run that through the duration of the program, starting in the fall, ending sometime in May or June. What type of person should be a paramedic, right? Suitable. I said it. Right? Everybody's sitting here. Everybody's sitting here. Right? So don't think that you don't have the qualifications. It's just you have to take that leap of faith and believe in yourself that you can do it. We have timid ones. The true story, I was in the ER and the student, very first day at the clinical, she goes, "What do?" I go, "Talk to the patient. Say, hi, my name is." Right? Don't be that afraid. And before you know it, she moved through seamlessly and became the first to finish in her clinical performance. And she received an award, right? So it doesn't, you don't have to walk and feel as if you've already accomplished all this. In time, you will build that momentum and that knowledge, right? And of course, teamwork. We can't work alone. We always have to work together. Right? You see in the picture. Salary. Who wants to get paid? Oh, I do, right? Like Megan said, right? We're working adults. We still have bills. I have student loans that are just knocking. I'm knocking right back, right? So the salary for starting paramedics is about 44 per hour, depending on where you go. The city tends to pay a little less. However, their benefits are better long-term. So you can do 20 to 25 years working for the city and your salary will increase slowly. Then you have a nice pension versus working for the hospitals, which I do because I have to still work as a paramedic. You have to work until the younger age, and I say younger, I don't like to use the other word, of 65, right? Maybe 63. So hopefully 15 more years, I could pull that off and then I'll have a pension. But if you weigh risk versus benefit, how healthy are you now versus later, right? That's your choice, but you do have that option, right? Any questions? Come on up. No, go ahead. Come on up.
First of all, I'm apologizing for being late.
Okay.
So I want to do, I just got my GED here 2 years ago.
Right.
I'm new here, like, so there is too many things that I'm learning about. I wanted to, I used to work as a flight attendant. I was in aviation for one of the major foreign airlines. We trained for the first aid. So when I heard about you guys, I wanted to come and see what can I do to get an associate degree for 2 years as a paramedic or an MTA. So my questions, I have too many questions.
No, that's okay.
And I would like to start with the first one. I think
Sure.
important is the immigration status very important for that?
No, it's not. Right. So the qualifications is as I listed, age, your ability to physically do the job. One of the issues is only a criminal record, right? So if you have a criminal record, then that will disqualify you. But the immigration status, that does not.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Anybody else? Any questions in the chat I can answer? I can't see it, but oh, you're answering. Okay. All right. So who's next? All right. So thank you.
Good job.
Good job. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Not me yet. Not me yet. Okay. So, am I going the wrong way here? Here we go. Okay, so I'm from LaGuardia Community College. So LaGuardia Community College is in Queens. Um, we are accessible by many, many trains, the 7 train, the E train, the F train. I'm sure there's even more that I'm not even thinking about. We're right in Long Island City, the 7 train. Yeah. So my name is Philip Gimber, by the way. I'm the chair of the Health Sciences Department. Um, I'm not a paramedic. I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. But I work closely with the paramedic program, and you'll see why there's a nurse here today. So if you want to ask us more questions after this, I'm going to put the slide up again after. Our email is healthsci@lagcc.cuny.edu. That gets you right to our, I guess you could say our reps who can answer your questions really well versus sometimes going to a general advisor. This gets you right to our health science advisors. So our paramedic degree itself. So we have a paramedic degree. A lot of people ask us, well, how long does it take? And it depends how you want to do it. So we have a 1-year option where you're not really taking it as college credits, you're taking it through the adult and continuing education department. And there actually is some tuition coverage there. It doesn't fall technically under this program, but you can get your paramedic certification that way. And it takes 1 year, and it's very similar as he explained, where we do interview you, we go through everything with you, we get you into the program. The other way is you can come through the academic pathway where you're taking English and anatomy before you start, and then you spend a year taking the paramedic courses. Sounds kind of weird because you're like, well, why would I do 2 versus 1? If you want to do it all through like financial aid and tuition coverage, that 2-year option is there. If you want to become a paramedic right away, start working, you can do it the 1 year. And I think you have the same. Yeah, so it's the same at Kingsborough as LaGuardia. We have it the same. And I'm guessing, I don't know if you have it. So you'll present your own. That said, and here's the interesting part. Let's say you say, you know what, I want to just get, and there are many of you probably on this call right now who already have their paramedic, or you're in a paramedic program right now and you're going to be completing it, but it's not a credited program. We have the ability to give you 34 credits for just being a paramedic. So if you are a paramedic, you can just come to LaGuardia and take 8 classes. So you see it here. It says 34 credits awarded in bold on the bottom right, and only 8 additional courses are required. So those courses, is a basic English 101 and 102, which every college student has to take. You could take a math class, either college algebra or statistics, and these are 100 level, they're not 200 level. This isn't calculus. This is basically high school level, a little bit beyond high school level math, which we have a lot of tutoring on and again, all the colleges have tutoring and all these options. Then psychology, because you are dealing in New York City, right? A big part of New York City patients have mental health, challenges. So general psychology, developmental psychology are part of that curriculum. Those are courses you would have to take. And then science, we used to only allow you to take anatomy, 200 level, 1 and 2, but we opened a little bit because many, many students, and maybe somebody on the call or in this room, has tried to take anatomy, didn't go well. Maybe you tried it even twice and you said, that's just not the course that I can get through. And that's why maybe you're not getting your degree. So if it isn't, you can actually now take SCB 103, which is human biology, which is more, it's not as rigorous and as intense as you could say the regular 200 level anatomy. And then for the other science, you could take anatomy too, or you can take a topics level chemistry, which is kind of similar to like a high school chemistry, but taken in a college. And then lastly, you would take like a flexible course. So let's say and this is where it can work out, because if you have credits kind of all over the place, you've been to a few colleges, private, like CUNYs or wherever else, and you've taken maybe intro to philosophy or urban studies or something like that, we can fit that credit in some of those areas as well. And those are your 8 courses where you can get. So if you're already a paramedic, you have those 8 courses, boom, you have a associate's degree as a paramedic, and you can get those credits for free if you're eligible through all these programs. And even if you don't get free tuition, let's say you're not, oh, I'm not 25 or I passed the age limit. The great thing about CUNY for all the colleges that are presenting today, the tuition is only for a community college is $5,000 a year. It is very, very low. You go to other private colleges, $60,000, $70,000. Some of them are charging a year, some even more. And the faculty and the books are the same. I teach the nursing program. Believe it or not, we have a 98% pass rate on the state boards. Not even NYU and Columbia has that. Why is that? Because so many students come to LaGuardia because our tuition is low, and all the CUNY. We actually beat a lot of the private schools. So don't let them sell you a Gucci bag when it's just leather and something that holds things, right? It is the same thing. And I know people are like, well, why? All these colleges. And I don't want to put them down, but really it's the same information, the same requirements as faculty. We all have doctorates and masters from, so just want to put that there for everybody because it really is a good deal to go to school at a CUNY. And even for myself, I could tell you, I went to Nassau Community College and got my nursing degree there. And back then the tuition was $2,000. And then I went to Stony Brook, which was SUNY, very similar to CUNY. And because I was already a nurse, they said, oh, there's a special program just like this. You get to go to school for free. And then my employer picked up my master's degree. And then I got my PhD from CUNY because I worked at CUNY and that was free. So my entire degree from high school to getting a PhD, I don't think I paid more than $10,000 for the whole thing. And now I work as a nursing professor. I've been a nurse, emergency rooms, ICUs, home care, you name it. I've pretty much worked in most of the fields. So that's the great thing about what this program is and what CUNY offers is you can get these degrees. And the whole thing about, you could say CUNY Reconnect is about jobs. That's why even there's you can see it's not just about healthcare. You can get a degree in cybersecurity because that's where jobs are. And all of our programs offer those. We have, degrees in engineering and cybersecurity because again, the state of New York wants everyone to get into places where you're getting jobs. And where are the jobs? Healthcare and in areas like engineering and computer science and cybersecurity. So those are the things that are covered. But of course, we're all medical here, so we're covering mostly the those pieces. So one thing that LaGuardia has that I don't think the other CUNYs has yet, some of them are working towards it, is we have a paramedic to RN pathway. So many people have applied to the nursing programs in CUNY and maybe didn't get in. Or maybe, you're like, I'm not ready to be an RN just yet. So what a lot of students are doing is they're getting their paramedic degree or maybe getting their, we also have an LPN to RN as well. They're getting their LPN license. And if you have your paramedic degree, you get to skip a whole year of clinicals of your nursing degree. So instead of 2 years of clinicals of nursing, you only need 1. Because that's really what takes a lot of your time is being in clinical between 6 and 12 hours a week. Because you're a paramedic, we look at that and instead we say, all right, let's just have them take a topics from paramedic to RN, kind of transitioning the mindset and making nursing diagnoses. You don't have to go to clinical to learn that. That's really more lecture intensive. So you can see, so students who are paramedics and complete the transition coursework do not have to take that first year. So you would just take the second year and we're a 2-year degree and you're an RN. A lot of people say, how can you be an RN in 2 years? It's been that way for a long time. Of course, many people do it as a 4-year degree. If you do it as a 2-year, you do have to get your bachelor's within 10 years. But again, within 10 years, it's not that hard. There's many online options for you to get your RN to bachelor's degree. Most of the employers cover it. And it's a really good deal. Why did I think it's a New York State law? It's probably been around for maybe 10 years. Wasn't always there. To keep your RN license. I also said this already, LaGuardia and many of the CUNYs, we have really, really high pass rates for the state boards. So it's a really, really good option. We were all accredited by, the nursing programs such as ASIN and the NLN. So these are legitimate programs. And you can see what are the prereqs if I want to go into nursing. So English, psychology, a lot of the courses you saw for paramedic. The difference though is you have to have anatomy 1 and 2. You can't just take like, oh, I took topics in biology. You have to get a passing grade. The good news is though, you're not going to be competing against people who don't have any license. So if you're a paramedic to the bridge, and let's say, oh, I only got a C plus in anatomy or a B, you have a much better chance of getting into the RM program than somebody who does not have a paramedic degree because we don't have that many applicants right now. So if you're hopping on early and you're afraid that maybe the grades you had weren't as good as you thought, maybe if you were thinking about becoming a nurse without having the paramedic certification, your chances are much better because we're taking you in basically on the 3rd semester. So there's a lot of students who have failed that were taking maybe the first year that for whatever reason they couldn't continue or they failed out. So those open spots, you're going into those spots, which keeps the program going. So it's a much easier way to gain entry into an RM program. And you're completing it much faster with less time. So in that sense, it's a really, really good option. And I think we're one of like maybe one of 2 in New York that are doing this right now. Let's see. There we go. We also have other health-related degrees. We have radiology technology. That's very, very popular, very competitive. Occupational therapy. We have veterinary technology. We have public health. We're developing a health sciences degree in general. Nutrition. I think nutrition itself might not be covered under the free tuition, but I think the culinary management might be this. You'd have to email us about which ones are covered or not. Human services, mental health, where you can go into social work is covered. So there's a lot of options. And then, a lot of people so some of the questions that came up just on before, so we talked about this. Is the paramedic to bridge nursing offered? Yes, it is. We actually had our first graduates, so it's already been successful. We got people graduating, and we take entry twice a year into the fall and the spring. So you can apply anytime. How long does it take? If you're not a paramedic, you have to go into the regular nursing program. But if you're a paramedic, it takes, well, of course, it's not going to take you exactly 1 year. You have to take some transition classes, but it's 1 year of clinical courses, which is really, really good for a lot of people. What are the start and end dates? We mentioned that. Somebody said, I have 2 master's degrees in education. How can I go about taking nursing? So obviously, we've already said for CUNY Reconnect, you wouldn't be eligible if you already have a master's degree. But if you have an advanced degree and you want to come back and get to become a paramedic or you want to become a nurse, you can. There's nothing preventing you. We can probably use a lot of those credits. So start. And of course, I also wanted to mention we recently received a grant from the Cohen Foundation, who owns the Mets. He donated a gigantic amount to the college and to CUNY. We already have simulation labs, but they're going to be upgraded. We're doing a lot of things like that. So we have simulation rooms. We have many affiliations with hospitals. If you go into our paramedic program, we have affiliations with the FDNY, where you be in ambulances with them. So, of course, you have your lecture, your lab, your clinical. It's all part of it. And I think that really covers what I want to cover. So I'm going to hand it off to Megan Williams.
Good job, Phil. Excellent job, Phil. All right, so I am now over at BMCC, but having come from LaGuardia. So I am now over at BMCC and have this lovely view of our building and downtown and the 9/11 site as well. And so in this year, we're actually doing our 40th year. And so we have a 2-year associate's degree program for paramedics. We graduate every student with an associate's degree, and Reconnect is certainly a very helpful program for that because anybody between 25 and 55 that wants to get their degree can for free. Now, with you're an EMT, you're a paramedic already, just like any one of the other colleges, we will give you those credits. You don't have to apply and then pay to get those credits that you've earned as paramedics or as EMT. We just give them to you at a CUNY. And we say, you know what? 60 credits, 61 is to get your associate's degree. We're going to give you more than half of them because Any EMT and paramedic that has been to school for EMT and paramedic knows that's really hard. So we just give you those credits to start with. You're already halfway done. So in the Reconnect program, you can finish and get your degree. You're already a paramedic. You get half those credits done. So we do transfer in up to 45. So let's say you started college somewhere else, but you didn't get that degree and you're a paramedic. We will transfer those credits in at any one of our colleges as well, although I'm partial to BMCC, not nothing, but we'll transfer in any of those credits. You're going to see a lot of the same classes across the board because we are all CUNYs. You'll also hear us tease each other a little bit. We are all technically competitors, but in all honesty, every program is so different. So even when I was choosing my paramedic program, you were choosing your nursing program, Steven chose his paramedic program. It matters where the location is. It matters what the days of the week are. It matters what the flavor of the character of the program is. So while we are technically competitors, we work really well together because the student that comes to my program may not jive with one of the others because we're looking for something different, or they live closer to one of the other programs. So a lot of our stuff goes across the board for any one of our programs. We have a pretty flexible online schedule for prerequisite classes. That would be your English, your science classes, your bio classes. Some of them are hybrid. So we do actually have some students that are out of New York State, live in New York State enough to take advantage of Reconnect, which is great, but that are paramedics and are doing some of their classes online because they can. We're transferring them in. Our paramedic training, we run 2 paramedic classes at this point a year. We are Sundays and Tuesdays. We do 2 straightforward days of lecture and skills. And the other option is our Sundays and Mondays. And we flip-flop that, and we also add additional classes and change them up pretty much every other semester. So this semester and this year, we are Sundays and Tuesdays and Sundays and Mondays. But for the most part, we change that around. We try to compact it because I don't know about you guys, but Manhattan, a little hard on the commute. So we try to put it all into one day or as much as possible. And then rotations are scheduled on your schedule, where we are going to, very much like Kingsborough as well, have some of our preceptors go with you, have a paramedic go with you into the different clinical sites to connect you with that. We also have a part-time program. So for any of the paramedics listening, we all know that you lose a life and you lose your entire year of life when you go through paramedic school because it's really intense. Well, we kind of sat there and went, maybe we don't do that. Maybe we give an option to make it a little bit longer. And so there's been some tremendous success around the nation doing that. And so we started doing that, and we have about half of our students right now in the second class are part-time. They come 1 day a week. They come Sunday, they do their schoolwork, they do a lot of studying, and that's it. They don't have clinicals, they don't have rotations, they do 1 day a week. And then we rotate them into rotations 1 day a week, and it becomes manageable because making money and having a job is kind of important, especially in New York City also. We have a number of different clinical sites. We share a lot of them with our counterparts over here as well. And then each one of us has different sites that the other ones don't have. So for example, we have Mount Sinai Health System that we work within, Jamaica Flushing, but each one of our programs is going to have a couple of different clinical sites to send you to. And each one of the paramedic programs is going to send you to the ERs, to the PEDS ERs, to the ICU, to labor and delivery, because chancing that you're going to get a childbirth in the year that you're taking paramedic class, not as high as going to a labor and delivery ward. So we're going to send you over there as well. We have a number of different pieces of equipment that we use. We've been really lucky in the past couple of years to really expand out our program. We have a driving simulator in that upper right-hand corner, which we can simulate into an ambulance, into a fire truck, much heavier. Might have flipped that accidentally. Super safe on there. We also have augmented reality. So those are the goggles up in the left-hand side that you see. We've got some virtual reality, and we also have augmented reality where it will impose a what's really inside of the mannequin and what you're looking at internally, especially for childbirth, you can see so superimposed, which is amazing. On the bottom right-hand side, you see some of our A&P equipment, and that is a 3D, doesn't come across very well in 2D, but it is a 3D computer that you can move around the organs when you're talking about the heart, when you're talking about the lungs, and you don't need to be wearing any kind of goggles. And of course, our team in the lower left-hand side and right next to our simulated ambulance, which we brought inside because we don't have any space to park a real ambulance. Now, on the other hand, Kingsborough, you've got a real ambulance. Absolutely. So any of the campus amenities that I put up here are all of our campuses. So you're going to have child care centers that you're eligible for, swimming pools, or apparently just go outside to the beach for Kingsborough. But we all have swimming pools as well. You've got some additional benefits to being a college student. Meals, nutritional pantries, join a sports team, an athletic team. And then you can do things like study abroad and travel internationally and take some of these other classes, like your English classes, your math classes. You want to go to France? Go to France and take that class, which is pretty cool. We do a couple other things at BMCC. We do have our third annual Healthcare Expo, where you can see the states, New York State EMS and Department of Health up there joins in to share their experiences and certainly their resources with us. And that Healthcare Expo goes over all of the new equipment, all of the new stuff that we've got that's cutting edge within the field. And then we connect to employers. Each one of us does some job fairs. We do a job fair as well every August where we invite anyone and everyone in. We also offer some critical care classes. So if you are currently a paramedic and while it won't fall under the Reconnect program, well, technically it does, because in our paramedic class, we actually integrated in the critical care and flight paramedic course. So we go over vents, we go over pumps, we go over all of the critical care and flight physiology so that you can be eligible to take some of those certifying exams throughout the courses. Out-of-state paramedics, as long as it's an online class and as long as you live in New York to get credit for Reconnect, you can absolutely be taking some of those classes online. English, seems like a better class to take online than maybe dissecting a frog in anatomy and physiology. But there's all sorts of options there. We do a number of other specialty training programs. We have some advanced standing for combat medics. I like to tease Phil a whole lot because Phil is the nursing part of our paramedic program over there at LaGuardia, your paramedic program. So he's got the bridge program into paramedicine, and we really believe at BMCC, we're going to pull all in to the paramedic program. It's a career, no offense. You have a career too, and it's for nurses. So we have taken a really good stand at BMCC in our mission statement of every paramedic will graduate with a degree and you will have upward mobility, whether that is into supervisory positions, which is, helpful for more money. Everybody could use more money. Or you want to go on and you want to do physician assistants. We do have advanced standing for any one of a number of people that are coming in with advanced degrees. And one of the other things that all of our programs do is evaluate any transcripts and any courses that you've taken already that you don't have degrees for yet. We're going to try to apply that into your degree that you are trying to get with us. So our contact information, we have our website up here. You can scan the QR code or you can take a screenshot. I am old and not tech savvy, and therefore I do a lot of screenshots because I have no idea how to make technology work. So I do a lot of screenshots and then use it on my phone somewhere else. Any of these programs, fill out a CUNY application, send your official transcripts in. For us, it's going to be to BMCC. And of course, there is the pay the application fee. About 1 or 2 times a year, though, spoiler alert, they will send out that there's no application fee. Super helpful to catch on to those times. 1 or 2 other things that we do, especially over at BMCC, is we have a newsletter for first responders where we go over mental health. We go over one-on-one instructor interviews. We have our own webpage that will cover our instructors and interviewing them and finding out what did they wish they knew when they started paramedic school. I wish I knew that I didn't have to drive in paramedic school. I didn't grow up in New York City, and I was terrified of driving in New York City. And I completely delayed for 2 years to take my paramedic. So that would have been great for me to know. We're going to talk about new courses, event updates, podcasts. We're just trying to connect all of the resources because there's so much out there. We do have our mailing list there and also our BMCC website on the QR codes. And I think most of the questions that were already put into the chat or that were submitted ahead of time were already answered here throughout all of us talking. What other questions do you guys have? Heard so much from all of us at this point. And here's all of the contact information for each one of our programs. LaGuardia is at Health Sci at LHC. And then Stephen O'Brady at KBCC and EMT Medic at BMCC. That QR code gets you into the get me more info. Email me and I have specific questions. Now, one of the other things that each one of our programs does is we will get back to any contact that you make with us, but we all have open houses that happen throughout our campuses. I can speak for BMCC because I happen to work there, but BMCC has monthly open houses for the EMT and the paramedic program as well, where we want to welcome people in. And then we also have online Zoom Q&A sessions and open houses too. So a number of ways to connect. And Joe, if I remember correctly, all of this information is going to be uploaded for future reference as well, yes? Okay, so Joe will come up in just a second. He's got some great opportunities for if you don't fall into this category and you do have to pay for school, are there scholarships? So he's going to talk about that. Does anybody have any other questions before I turn it over to, well, this was great information, but I don't fall in that category. Joe. Hey, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Megan. All right. So for the folks here in the room and for the folks online, if you're currently an EMT and let's say you're an EMT and you have a bachelor's in psychology or an associate's in engineering, or for one reason or another, you're an EMT and you're 22 years old, you do not yet qualify for this program, or you don't qualify for this program for any other reason. The Regional EMS Council each year, we put out a paramedic scholarship. So this year we are putting out 2 scholarships, each for $10,000, which will cover the majority of your tuition costs for a paramedic program here in New York City. So we have the applications on the table. I believe we're putting the link to the application in the chat now. So that application period just opened yesterday, February 1st. It extends through March 31st. It's our Walter F. Pittsey Paramedic Scholarship Program. It's named after the founder of the Regional EMS Council of New York City. And it is designed to help assist EMTs in overcoming the cost barrier to elevating to the paramedic level. So applications are due by March 31st is the application deadline. We announced the awardees for these applicants at our April Regional Council meeting, and you would receive that award at our EMS Week celebration. So you pick out your paramedic program you intend on attending, and we cut a check to that paramedic program for $10,000, and that comes right off your tuition costs. Does anyone have any questions on that program? Yep, there's a flyer on the table for those here in person, and we have the link to the webpage in the chat. Do we have any questions on that in the chat or QA? It's a pretty straightforward process. Application takes about 45 minutes. Does require that you have to be a current EMT to apply. And you do have to upload a reference letter from a whichever agency that you're currently working for or volunteering. And that's it. That's all I have to say. I'll let you all wrap it up.
Well, to wrap up, in summary, thank you for being here. We didn't really plan out the summary, sorry. But thank you for being here. We're going to stick around. We would love to take a photo of everybody that's here so that we can say, yeah, we had some great questions here, and really celebrate that you showed up, right? So if you've got any additional questions, whether they have to do with this program, have to do with EMT, have to do with paramedic, have to do with any one of our programs, come on up and ask. If you want to ask later on, you've got that email information. Can we throw up that last slide one more time there, Charlie? So we'll put that back up there for anybody watching online that wasn't able to get that. And those are our contact information. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for being here online. And hopefully we see you in the field. Stay safe. So the question about what? So the question about Reconnect, and if you have to be an EMT in order to apply for the PITSI scholarship, you have to be an EMT to apply to the PITSI scholarship. You do not need to be an EMT to apply to Reconnect. Good. Okay, great. Go team, thank you. Well done.
Great job.